Hey friends, it's Beth the Bard, and I'm going to be learning Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition with the help of my friend B. Dave Walters, who is walking me through all the beginning steps I need to get started and prepare me to build my first character, which I will then be playing in a 4-part series with the community. And I'm going to be nice and vulnerable learning this game from scratch because we all have to start somewhere, and it is high time that I entered this community as an avid vampire fan within the D&D community. So I hope you enjoy this video, and thank you for being here.
Oh, is it time for my dramatic entrance?
B. Dave Walters, y'all.
For night to fall once again, even though it's like very bright light outside. It's special effects. Because one of the main things you have to know, kids, is vampires aren't real. There aren't any. It's not a thing. Don't even worry about it. Yeah. So hi. I understand that you want to learn to play some vampire.
I do. I want to learn so I can get obsessive, and then I can show up to all the events and know exactly what everybody's talking about, and I can wear my little vampy fangs.
I mean, I have a vested interest in you showing up at events with vampy fangs. Yeah. So just to give a little background, I've told you this. I mean, a lot of people know me for D&D, but especially during the pandemic, on my Patreon, I ran 35 to 40 games of Vampire a month for about 18 months. I've run over 500 games of Vampire. I've run more games of V5 than anybody. I was going to say I was a contender for having run more games of Vampire, period. But I mean, there's cats that have been at it since the 90s. So I don't know that I have. I don't know that I can claim that particular crown, but it's for V5, though, I'm kind of it. So a lot of experience with this. And the main thing to tell you from the very beginning, since most people have a experience with D&D, and D&D is kind of the common vocabulary of the hobby, is two things to know right up front. D&D is an explicit system, and I don't mean like explicit, but I mean like you can do what it says you can do, and you cannot do what it does not say you cannot do. Right? Like
I say unless you tear it to shreds like I do, which at a certain point I'm not playing D&D anymore.
Correct. Yeah, now you're homebrewing, right? Yeah, I mean, but you know, the game is what it is, right? Vampire in particular, and the World of Darkness system, the storyteller system more broadly, because it's the same system for every game, is implicit. It's you tell the storyteller what you want to do, and the storyteller tells you what to roll to see if you do it, right? So it's not, there are some very specific things, like some of the like powers and things. It's like you can affect this many targets, you can do this many things, but the game very intentionally isn't a 5-foot movement grid game, like on purpose.
Like there are mechanics, but it's intended to be open-ended.
Well, there's an ability called celerity, which is super speed, right? You're just fast, right? And even in the description of celerity, there's a little block that is like, how fast is fast? It's like fast enough. That's how fast. Like they intentionally are. It's not, 50 meters in 6 seconds like that. I will also say where D&D's strength is, it's pretty good at approximating fighting and terrible at literally everything else. The storyteller system's the exact opposite. It's really good at social stuff and kind of gets a little hinky once you actually start fighting. But that's just
interesting.
Sort of the way it goes. To begin at the beginning, it's funny because I've done so many vampire tutorials, but I'm not going to use this time together to hawk my wares of my other tutorials. The only thing you need to play vampire is you need some D10s, and you need D10s of 2 different colors. And you only need 5 of the other color. Most sets come with 6, but when I tell you what these are for, if you ever need 6 of these other ones, things have already gone really wrong. So you can play whatever D10s you want, but you need at least 5.
But it's all D10s.
Yes, only D10s. And you need at least 5 of them that you know are going to be your blood dice, right? The way, oh, hang on,
5 to blood dice.
Mm-hmm. Oh, on a second. My timer went off, reminded me to do a thing.
Oh, I have those. Actually, I have one coming up really fast. I should probably turn that off now.
Or do the thing, right?
Oh, wait, you actually do the things when your alarms go off?
I mean, or the things don't get done, yeah. I'm going to tell you a secret about this book. The Vampire the Masquerade book. I have my fancy special
More
edition
secrets.
Yes, more secrets. Well, two secrets. One of the secrets I told you before we started rolling. This is now in everybody's.
Oh, I see.
The first thing is, if you look on the side of this, there's like a red splotch there on the side of it. That's where the disciplines are, where the powers are. So when you're playing and you got to look up what to do, you can just kind of look at the side. You can just grab it, and you'll be boom in the powers section of the book. Hooray! The other thing, this book, the problem with this thing, I love it so much, but the problem with this book is it was a style guide first and a rule book second. They wanted it to look cool more than they wanted it to be a functioning game manual.
It reminds me of Mork Borg in that way. Like, I've been trying to read the Mork Borg book, and I'm like, it's pretty, but I don't know what's happening.
Yep. That's like me. Pretty. But I don't know what's happening. On page 136 and 137 of this book, there's a summary of all of character creation. This is kind of home base that you will always come to in this book. Notice I have it marked here. I know where it is, so I'll make your life so much easier. Oh no, I lost my note. It'll make your life so much easier if you just kind of like live between page 136 and 137. I will also say the order in which it says to create a character is very wrong, because again, it was written from a theoretical level, not a practical level. Like, now, let's begin at the very beginning. I'll come back to the dice. I know I started talking about the dice already. It's just because I had them in my hand and they're pretty.
I mean, simple enough concept.
Indeed.
D10s.
Yep.
Need 5 for blood.
It's slightly more complicated than that, but we'll come back to it in a second. So the other thing that sets the World of Darkness apart from D&D, and in many ways is a much easier first entry into tabletop games for most people, is because if you play D&D, it's like, all right, you're an orc. What's an orc? It's like a noble savage. Okay, cool. I'm an orc. And it's like, and now you're a paladin. Well, what's a paladin? Like a holy warrior. You're like, I'm a noble savage holy warrior. That's cool. And we're going to be in Waterdeep. Well, what's a Waterdeep? It's fantasy New York. Okay, I'm an orc paladin in fantasy New York. And it's like, great. And now mind flayers are attacking. Well, what are mind flayers? They eat brains. Well, that seems bad. It is. Okay, I'm a noble savage holy warrior in fantasy New York fighting squids that eat brains. I got it, right? And you have to juggle all of this, and it's what I call filters that you got to move through until you can get down to the human emotion. That is the point of the game, right?
Which is where I like to sit with D&D stuff, so...
Correct. And once you're used to it, it's easy.
But you have to be like really used to it to really dig into that part, which is hard for newbies when they're coming in wanting to like explore deep character stuff.
Correct. Vampire is the exact opposite of that. It is this world. It's now. The gas station on the corner is there. The movie theater is there. City Hall is there. You have a cell phone, right? The only difference is you're a monster and you don't want to be. You wake up because someone has murdered you and you're starving. Go. That's Vampire. So it's so much easier to get into. And I'll wax philosophical about the psychology of how people make their characters later, because I want to see how you're going to make your character first. Then we'll unpack what some of that means. Now, I know you have already put at least some thought into this. Do you have any idea what clan you want to play?
Okay, so I was actually just talking about this in a Discord a second ago, and I can't remember the exact names I was using. I have not memorized the terminology yet, so let me find it.
While you're looking, I'll tell people who may not know what it is, what I'm talking about with the clans. Vampire doesn't have like character classes as such. The closest thing you've got is a clan, and you also have a faction. And the curse of vampirism, some of us think it's a blessing, came from Cain. Cain was cursed by God Kane created a number of childer, a variable number based on addition and expansion, but he created his own childer, which is the word for a vampire that you yourself make. And each of them was special, and they created their own individual vampire bloodlines that are called clans. So your clan dictates a lot about you. It dictates the powers that you have access to, but it also kind of dictates sort of like your worldview and the way you just sort of exist by default. So that is why clan's important. So yes, did you find it?
I did. So I know.
Wait, hang on. I'm gonna type what I think it is, and we're gonna see if I'm right when you say.
Oh no. Okay. Well, I have like my main idea, but then like my backup idea. So
my body's ready.
um,
Say that I'm not typing. I'm just gonna hit enter when you tell me the clan. See if I was right. Mm-hmm.
So I'm torn between the one I feel like I'm closest to in real life versus the one that I'm reading about and I'm like, oh, that makes me happy. So I feel like I'm closer to Toreador in real life because of I explained like I have OCD. So that like perfectionism and the anxiety around that, and I'm a very emotional person and very like I'm an artist and things like that. So I was reading that and I was like, okay, I personally resonate most in that, but like the damn Tremere.
Mm-hmm.
Like that looks they're witchy. How can you not be into that? But also I deeply love Nosferatu.
I was
So
completely wrong. I'm not even gonna hit enter. I'm not gonna tell you what I
oh
guessed.
no!
I did guess
I want
wrong.
to know. I need
Hey,
to know. I have to know. I have to know. I have to know. I have to know. No, you have to tell me. You have to tell me. You have to tell me.
I don't.
You thought Bruja, didn't you?
I'm man enough to admit that I was very wrong though. So just for this, since we're doing this pretty short and you're learning, I would steer you clear of Tremere because it just so
Really?
happens. Yeah, but for one reason only. The Tremere thaumaturgy, their magic and the way their magic works is fairly complicated.
Oh, it's kind of like when a new player comes into D&D and you're like, don't do wizard as your first character, please.
Oh man, it's worse than that. There's not an analogy in D&D because the bones of how the characters work is kind of the same. Yeah, there's not really an analogy. It's just more complicated, and you're already going to be like juggling stuff in trying to figure out like how the Tremere rituals work. Is just it's a non-optimal entry. Now that being said, if it just really speaks to your heart to play a Tremere, great, sure.
I think it's like one of those things where I'm like, that's a sexy concept. I'm gonna put a pin in that for later when I'm better at this.
I mean, I think as long as you know, there's really only two kinds of things in this game that get pretty crunchy because it was intentionally designed to be not crunchy, but they still kind of couldn't avoid it. So, remember I said all of the different vampire clans have their own basically superpowers that they get from the clans.
Yeah.
So, in the world of darkness, there's 5 main types of characters and there's 5 main games, although they don't all have a 5th edition right now. There's vampire, werewolf, mage, which is just the Matrix. It's literally the Matrix, like so much so the Wachowskis could not convince me that they didn't play a shit ton of mage before they made the Matrix. Changelings, which is like fairies. It's like dark fae.
I played 1 round of Changeling when I was studying for therapeutic game mastering.
Changelings a lot. Of all 5, Changelings a lot. And the 5th one is Wraith. And Wraith is very dark and very intense and has a very special place in my heart. Yeah. So the story of the Tremere is they were mages. They were an order of mages that realized that they were still human, so they were going to die one day. So they artificially made themselves vampires. In fact, they wiped out another clan, stole the curse of vampirism, and Tremere, who was an individual, made himself a vampire. So that's why their magic works differently because like they come from a different place.
Very Anne Rice. All of this reminds me of Anne Rice in one way or another.
Well, it's not unrelated from that just sort of like 90s stew. But hang on, actually, let me double check one thing. double check one thing before I say the
You
wrong
know, it would be an epic like social media series would be to go through and make a VTM character sheet based on different pop culture vampires like Lestat and Louis and Claudia and
pretty much everything since the mid 90s has been directly influenced by Vampire the Masquerade. Underworld directly, so much so that Underworld got sued and lost. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
I have to
Oh yeah.
rewatch it.
Yeah. Underworld directly.
So wait, VTM came before Underworld.
Oh yeah, it's from the 90s.
I'm sitting here thinking that like the game stole from all these movies and stuff. Oh my God.
Now Anne Rice was first. Anne Rice is from the 70s.
Anne Rice was OG.
But Vampire's from the 90s. True Blood began as a vampire chronicle.
No freaking way.
Yeah. I mean, True Blood was Charlene Harris's home game. Then not Twilight with the fucking sparkly nonsense, but you know that.
Okay, but I feel like a Twilight game would be hilarious and unhinged.
Absolutely not. No, no. Do not.
You won't allow it?
No. As the ranking advocate of the Clan of Kings, absolutely not. No. But almost every, but even like a lot of the concepts around these things, and even though Interview with a Vampire was first, the visual expressions of it in recent years, a lot of that still can be traced back to Vampire the Masquerade. So a lot of the things like movies and TV shows you've seen in the last 30 years, when I'm talking, you're like, oh, that's like that thing. It's like, yeah, because they stole it from Vampire.
I'm so mad at myself, honestly. Like the reason I got into D&D was because I discovered Curse of Strahd and then obviously like ran with it with the She's the Ancient stuff. And like, how have I not done this yet?
But you're right on time. Now's the time. And hey, you know, there is a very deep and wide place in my heart for Ravenloft and for Strahd von Zarovich. I mean, I've told a lot of Ravenloft stories in my time. But for me, the difference is it's just a more modern vampire story, even though you definitely can tell vampire stories set back in the day. In fact, Vampire the Dark Ages is my favorite setting. Versus Strahd being a more fantasy. Oh yeah, Vampire the Dark Ages is my favorite.
I'm writing that down.
Well, I realize I'm throwing a million things at you all at once here, but it's like the reason why the reason why there's a masquerade, why this is called Vampire the Masquerade, is all of the vampires came to an understanding that they were like, we need to hide that we exist because humans have found out they're kind of upset about it, right? This was the first Inquisition, right? And all of that was agreed at a vampire meeting called the Council of Thorns, when they all essentially agreed how they were going to divide everything up and that we're kind of going to go into hiding and we need to make sure that people don't know we exist. That's what the masquerade is, right? The reason why the Council of Thorns happened is because up until that point, vampires were riding high and doing whatever they wanted. And very much were like, did you just look at me? Jack, you know what I mean? That's Dark Ages. So I love being a vampire.
Oh, it's more like, unhinged.
You should know your place. You know what I mean? Like, don't make me come over there because you're not going to like it when I do. You still can do that now, but you got to be like, ooh, anything could have happened to that guy. Whereas in the Dark Ages, you're like, no, I happened to that guy. And I'll happen to you too. If you don't, right? So, all of that is to say, if you have what you think is an interesting Tremere character concept, and you can accept that just the way your stuff will work will just be slightly crunchier than most, have at it. If you want what is definitely an easier entry into what vampire even is,
Toreador,
then I would say the Toreador.
Okay. I you know it's gonna like you have to tell me what you guessed because it has a folder has opened in the back of my brain.
Either Malkavian or Bruja.
That's funny. I think it was Jay was like, I feel like you're a Malkavian. And I was like, first off, rude. But also maybe not incorrect.
I find back to that psychology thing I said I wasn't going to say then, but I will say now, is, I mean, I've made the argument lots of times that everybody's first 2 or 3 TTRPG characters they play, period, are them. They may not realize it, but they are. With Vampire, that's even more pronounced. Your first couple of characters are either who you think you are or who you wish you were. And I find most people's first character is either a Tremere or a Toreador, because they're a sexy, sexy vampire, Malkavian, or Nosferatu. And I know a lot about a person by what they choose for their first claim. Like, I mean, I've done this enough times that I'm like, okay, you know what I mean?
You remember when I showed up to that one, the only game I've ever played, also with you, when I showed up with the bald cap and the the big ears? Yeah.
Yep. It's
Nosferatu was my first baby.
Those 3 are by a wide margin people's first choices. The quintessential sexy vampire, the quintessential I'm kind of different and maybe a little crazy, or don't look at me, I'm not here.
Don't look at me.
Are people's things. So if you're going to play a Toreador, all of this is of course variable, but we'll proceed under the assumption right now that you would like to. So I tell you what, if you don't mind, what were the character concepts you had in mind for these characters? Because the gap between them may not be as far as you think. Or had you even thought that far ahead? Had you just sort of like looked at it?
I haven't even thought that far ahead. I know that like last time I started building a character and got really into it, I created a cultist. Like, I resonate very deeply with cultists. As somebody who grew up very religious and then left that and then found TTRPGs and Peloton and other cults to join and become obsessed with. So I resonate with that character concept.
Can are any of the books you have are either are the Ministry in any of the books you have access to?
The Ministry?
So the Ministry run cults. That's what the Ministry does. Specifically, the Ministry preys on human weakness, usually in the form of pleasure, but not always. So they run cults, they run brothels, they run casinos, anything they can do to exploit human weakness and, essentially get people under their thrall is what the Ministry does. And they're really good at it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. That sounds intriguing.
Yeah. I'm going to give you like the 1-sentence summary of most of the Ministry aren't in the base book. They came out in one of the later books. But it's from the base book. Bruja are supposed to be warrior prophets, like revolutionaries, but they usually just kind of end up being like unruly biker assholes. Like, I'm just not going to do what you tell me. Me is what most Bruja. I said
the
what
amount
I
of
said,
people that
Bruja.
have the amount of people that have assumed that I'm Bruja, and I'm like, is it just because I'm like an angry feminist? Is this what...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Also, the Ventru gave the Bruja their final defeat at Carthage, and they're still upset about that. And I'm like, sucks to suck. Get good. The Gangrel are the most animalistic vampires. They live like very much on the edges of society. A lot of them are literally homeless, is what the Gangrel are, just wild. Again, Malkavians. Now, in the past, in the 90s, Malkavians were crazy. And that was the whole, like, blah, 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 blah. Like the gag is a fish malk. Because you remember in the Muppets, Crazy Harry, that like juggles fish just for no reason, just because it's crazy. That's what Clan Malkavian was. In the modern days, it's the portrayal of mental illness is a bit more nuanced. So the Malkavians are different. But
kind of based on which kind of mental illness you're emulating.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
But that's Clan Malkavian. Nosferatu, again, Nosferatu are the physically ugliest, but the
sexiest.
The common wisdom is most kindred are ugly on the inside, but pretty on the outside. Nosferatu are ugly on the outside, but they're beautiful on the inside. So some of the best people are Nosferatu. They're also the best spies and like information brokers. Toreador again are the artists. Toreador love beauty. They create art. They literally cannot be around ugly things or they have a chance to get violently ill. So Toreador and Nosferatu often
Wait,
don't
for
get along.
real?
Oh yeah, that's their clan bane. They can't be around ugly things. They have a chance to frenzy just by being confronted by ugliness. Yes.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
oh,
Oh yeah.
oh. I don't know if I resonate with that, but
Uh,
oh.
hey, that's why it's a curse. They don't
That's
either. You know
wild.
what I mean? But they're like, oh no, ooh, it's a green Cybertruck. Ooh, ah. There's again, Tremere are the Blood Wizards. Ventru are the business vampires. They are the clan of kings. They are the most bestest clan. Um, there's the Caitiff. Caitiff are the clanless. But where you basically, when your turn, there's just a mistake and you don't have a clan. Where you have your choice of powers, but you don't get some of the advantages or disadvantages from being from a specific clan.
There's a
And
divergence.
and then there's the thin-blooded. So currently we're on the 13th or 14th generation of vampire from Cain. You know, someone bit someone who bit someone who bit someone who bit someone. We're around 13 or 14, right? And the blood is getting diffused to the point that it can't create new vampires. So there's a new generation being born that are called thin-blooded, that are almost like Blade. They're almost Dhampir. They're almost half vampires.
Okay.
And if you remember when I said there's two very crunchy things in vampire, and one of them is Tremere and the way their powers work. The other thing is the thin-blooded and how their powers work, because they're just different, right?
Because they're babies.
Some of the other ones that are playable now are, and again, dear friend, if you're watching this and you know about vampire, again, these are simple explanations. I could talk for hours about any of the clans. There's the Tzimisce, which are flesh crafters. They call them the dragons. They physically can alter their bodies and other people's bodies. Tzimisce are rough. You know, it's almost like a Frankenstein vibe with the Tzimisce.
Yeah, that's immediately what I thought of. I was like, oh, Frankenstein.
Or I would argue, and again, don't come at me, chat. We're just talking amongst friends. I would argue that Nosferatu and this most recent Nosferatu movie was more reflective of a Tzimisce than a Nosferatu. If I had to make the argument. There's the La Sombra, which have become my second favorite clan. I like La Sombra quite a lot. They're sort of the power behind the throne, whereas like the Ministry has a lot of cults. The La Sombra are very deeply entrenched in the Catholic Church. They are shadow vampires and they have shadow powers. In La Sombra are pretty sick though.
That sounds really cool.
I like Clan La Sombra quite a bit.
I didn't wait, you can bring the Catholic Church into, because it's it's based on the real world. And,
it's the real world. Yeah, the
that's La Sombra so sexy.
The La Sombra run the Catholic Church. There's the Ministry, which I mentioned. Hang on, let me see. In the past, like every game, Vampire had a bunch of splat books, and in the different splat books, they introduced a lot of different clans. And then V5 pared a lot of that way down. But then over the years, they've incrementally still brought a few of them back, you know? So I'm like double checking what are even playable clans.
And tweaked and relaunched.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh yeah, okay. So then there's the Banu Hakim, which are assassins, basically. Assassin vampires. Bruja, I told you.
They're
I'm just looking at the Sombra. Oh yeah, the Hakata are back. Wow, Hakata are back.
Hakata, like Hecate?
Kinda. They're the necromancer vampires though.
Yeah.
They're the clan of death, you know?
Yeah.
Then Gangrel, I told you. Malkavian, I told you. Ministry, I told you. Nas.
Oh wait, the Ministry is one of these types.
Oh yeah. They're everything.
I thought it was like a cult within that, like you play like
they're a clan. Yeah, like the Ministry's a clan. All of those things I've told you so far are all a clan.
Good to know.
Yeah, there are cults, but these are all clans, like what's in your blood type thing. Ravnos, I didn't tell you about Ravnos. Again, in the past, Ravnos were just the gypsy vampires with some kind of problematic cultural representation that they've tried
to smooth.
Basically. But I mean, they've tried harder to smooth out the Ravnos than WotC's tried to smooth out the Vistani. But yes, legally distinct, slightly less racist. Um, the Ravnos have illusion powers, and one of their things is they can't sleep in the same place for more than I think 2 nights in a row. They always have to keep moving. That's their curse. They can't stay in one place.
Migrant by
So then,
source.
also there's the Salubri. Salubri are back. What? The Salubri are healers. But do you remember when I said that the Tremere wiped out a clan and stole their curse of vampirism?
It was those
Uh,
guys.
it was the Salubri, yeah. But turns out there are some. And that's one of the interesting things about vampire is vampirism is an infectious disease. So like you just need one and then you can have 1,000, right? So anytime they're like, there are no more of blah, I'm like, until there are.
Until one pops up and bites somebody.
Yeah, one who's been asleep wakes up and runs through a college campus, and then you got a bunch of them,
A la Queen of the Damned style.
Basically, yeah. So the Salubri are healer, although there is a warrior version of the Salubri, but mostly they're healers. Toreador we talked about, Tremere, Zamitzi, the dragons. Like the first line is to the Zamitzi, possession is all. They aim to dominate and own the subject of their possessiveness, jealously guarding it like their namesake dragon would its hoard. Ventru, the best class, Thin Blood, the worst class, and Caitiff. Okay, so those are all those are the ones that are playable currently.
Fuck yeah. I'm definitely interested in La Sombra or the Ministry.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Well, it's you finish your thought. I was gonna tell
I
you
was
how
gonna
to
say like the La Sombra sounds particularly interesting because of the Catholic Church thing, which I think itches that cult kind of or scratches that cult itch. And also like Catholic ritual and mythology is so exciting to me.
Mm-hmm. And
So
that is La Sombra. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of the difference between because they do use similar tactics, but from different angles and for very different reasons. So it's the difference between like sexy latex dress or like habit. You know what I mean? Like you don't necessarily have to dress like a nun, but you know what I mean. It's I really love the La Sombra though, really. Yeah. So yeah, it just would be like I mean I think maybe plan to be a La Sombra then and just see
I'm
where
gonna
it
do La
goes.
Sombra for my first character. First
Well,
official character.
hey, you also got to know too that a lot of character concepts are still transferable because I mean the way it goes is ideally a vampire embraces, because that's what it's called when you make a new vampire, it's the embrace. You embrace someone who would fit into the clan, you know? So it's like with a Malkavian picks someone who's already different, and the curse of the blood makes you different. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit of both. You know what I mean? So you could have like the most straight-laced person ever that gets bitten by a Malkavian, and now they're like, "Why am I hearing things? Like, what is this?" You know? But it's like, you know what I mean? It's like a
Yeah.
Ventru who is like a business vampire probably embraced someone that was already business-minded. You know, like, but that doesn't mean you couldn't play a character concept of somebody who was just a complete bohemian hippie, but got turned by a Ventru and now is like, but perhaps I should unite the bohemian hippies and I will rule the homeless encampments up and down the West Coast type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
that contradiction and
yeah, so you can eat. So even if you're kicking it around, like back to the Tremere thing, if you're like, well, I really had an idea for a character who was a librarian and a researcher of esotericism that I thought would be a Tremere, but now I'll come up with a model who's a Toreador. It's like, no, you could have a librarian who was a researcher of esotericism who becomes a Toreador.
and it
know?
just goes
Yeah.
into building the role play concepts
Yeah.
and like how it would, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's no wrong way to do it. If I can impress upon you more than anything, and if I can impress upon anybody who's watching this or hears this, if you've seen the whole thing or just a clip, you can't do it wrong. There's no way to do it wrong. Just have a good time. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. This is not a race, class, minimum stat requirement game at all.
Hopefully
Like,
my anxiety and indecision will be inspiring to other people trying this out.
Well, on New York by Night, Joey Razul just played a character who was a high-powered New York stockbroker who got turned into a gangrel, who were like the animal ones. And his whole gag was he was the Wolf of Wall Street, that his human side of him was very business-oriented and very tactical. But now he had this like monster inside of him, in the middle of like board meetings would like freak out and like do stuff. You know what I mean? So sometimes playing with that, yeah. So sometimes playing with that interplay on purpose,
juxtaposition,
can be interesting. Now that leads me to another interesting point as we talk about that, and I'm gonna detour slightly to the dice here to show you something, but I need to. Make sure I tell you the right thing real quick, because of course I'm finding, oh, here we go. This one I'm after. Oh, this is useful anyway. There's a basic mechanics sheet that I'm about to send you. Oh yeah, I remember this from times long past. It is a basic mechanics sheet that I'm going to send you that will be useful in the future.
Yeah, this website has a lot. So the book only, didn't have the Ministry and La Sombra and
yeah, no, they've
it's
come
all
out in
updated
like
stuff, right?
subsequent books that have come out, like the Camarilla Guide, the Anarch Guide, which actually, let me tell you that. So remember I said you've got a clan and you've got a faction, right? There are 3, possibly 4 major factions. One of those 4 doesn't exist, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. There's the Camarilla. The Camarilla is the vampire authority. Everything you saw in Underworld was the Camarilla. Again, so much so that they got sued for it. Any of these stories that you've seen where it's like there's an organization that dictates how vampires should vampire is the Camarilla, right?
Okay, so I forgot they're called in an Interview with the Vampire, but they've got the yeah,
same thing.
Yeah, so the same thing.
Any story you've got where some other person
Twilight
shows up, and I'm like, first of all, ma'am, I will turn this video call around. I will turn this video call around. Don't you test me.
Listen, I have teenage daughters. That's all I hear about.
I was about to say, yeah, you were a prospect when those books were like new and relevant too. So. Yeah, but any story where there's like the other people can come and be like, you got to do what we say because we, that's just how this works. That's the Camarilla.
Okay.
Vampire doesn't have good guys. Everyone's a monster. I think in LA
Not
by
me.
Night,
I'm a good guy.
You'll be the first one. You'll be the first sweet bean. Well, all jokes aside, the point of the game is you're a monster and you don't want to be. You're trying to hold on to what you were. That's the point.
Okay.
But it's a storytelling game of personal horror.
But how could you not be the bad guy, whether you want to or not, if you literally have to eat people?
Correct. And we're going to come back to that. But I think you are starting to understand what the game's about, right? So in the 90s, so again, there's not good guys, but in the 90s, the game was very much told from the Camarilla's point of view. That is like, this is what it means to be a vampire. This is what it means to exist in this world. Here's all these other wrong, dangerous people, right?
Okay.
Now, V5, the new one, is told from the point of view of the Anarchs. The character I'm known for, I was an Anarch Baron. Victor Temple is the undisputed Baron of the Valley, right? That like I have a piece of land that I run and have no small say in all of the city of Los Angeles, by the way. So the Anarchs are ostensibly just want to be free. That it's like, we don't want to be told what to do. We don't want to be told how to vampire. We don't care about your rules and your structures. We don't care who the prince is or what you say we should do. We're going to do what we want because fuck you. Is ostensibly what it means to be an anarch, right? The challenge there, in something that I had Victor say more than once, is having hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands superpowered misfits doing literally whatever they want is that's bad for business. That's still bad. It's still bad. You know what I mean? Like we need some safeguards. We need some agreements, like the Masquerade and things like that. So that's more or less what it means to be an anarch. There's still people you answer to, which are the barons, but the barons tend to be regional powers instead of like citywide powers, and things like that. So there is no completely escaping it, for lack of a better word. Then in the current game is told from the point of view of the anarchs that freedom is more valuable, that the Camarilla's rules and restrictions are a bad thing, right?
Okay.
A lot of times you have players that are holdovers from the old days that still want to play Camarilla characters. And this is a point of contention in some circles, because the current game doesn't want you to play a Camarilla character. And it's like, well, but I want to. So
interesting.
I'm gonna,
Yeah.
because I mean there's a lot of sexy components to being a Camarilla character. And at Darkness Emergent last year, I played Prince Kevin Jackson. Hold on, wait, let me show you something here. It makes my heart happy.
Is that a Strahd stuffy on your shelf? I ask without headphones on. Is that a Strahd stuffy on your shelf? You can't hear me.
That is a Jason Carl. That is a Jason Carl stuffy, and that is Jasper from LA by Night. That's Jason Carl, our storyteller, and
oh my god. It's a stuffy, right? Like a
oh yeah.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then there's Tiamat, and then there's all kinds of D&D stuff. So I played Prince Kevin Jackson. So like I've played kind of two of the highest ranking Ventrue on both sides of the aisle here. And one of the things I got that my friends bought for me was this sword that says Paladin, because that's his name. Is he's known as the Paladin, Prince Kevin Jackson, with the Ventrue logo on it. So this freaking Ventrue sword is a source of endless joy for me.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I love it so much. Yep. I love it so much. Okay. So yeah, so there's some sexy parts of being a Camarilla. The third faction, which have always been the bad guys, are the Sabbat.
That sounds sexy though. Sabbat?
Yeah. Sabbat. Yeah, the Sabbat.
Yes, I need to hear everything about them.
Well, allegedly the Sabbat have been wiped out. But remember what I said before about, until they're not, though.
Until they're not.
until they're not, though. So, remember I said the whole point is you're a monster and you don't want to be. The Sabbat are like, well, I'm a monster, now what? What if I turn hard into it? Like what
if I lean in? Like, this is me.
Yeah.
I should live my life.
Yeah. Or like what if I'm just better than you, right? And the Tzimisce and the La Sombra used to be in the Sabbat. Like the clans have like left and come over, right?
Okay.
So there's very much still Sabbat sympathizers in both clans, but like nobody will admit it. Like everybody's sort of like, wait, but these are like those monstrous fucks that we've been fighting for centuries, though. And they're like, yeah, but we pinky promise we're not anymore. And it's like, okay, you know, like it's more useful having you on our side, but boy,
They're just really into like their Darwinism or whatever. They're like, we are
yeah.
clearly superior.
It's like if we're not superior, why do we keep winning? I mean, think about it, you know. So the meta plot of fifth edition, because there's not a ton of meta plot to the story, which I think is one of the failings of Vampire, unfortunately, is so remember I mentioned the Council of Thorns. The way the first Inquisition happened is members of the Camarilla, specifically Ventru, I don't know, other Ventru make mistakes on occasion, were like, hey, Catholic Church, you guys are kind of insane. I heard that my rival lord might be a vampire. They're like a Satan demon monster. You guys should go do something about that. So the Inquisition found out that vampires were real and started killing them, right?
Okay.
And the Camarilla Ventru were like, hey, lol. You know what I mean? Like I have my cat's paws here. And eventually, the humans that were killing vampires were like, wait a second. You don't ever meet with us in the daytime either.
Wait a minute, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Like, you're not breathing either. You know, he touches holy water. You know what I mean? And the Inquisition found out that the people that had started all of this were vampires too and came for everybody. So that's why the Convention of Thorns came along and was like, hey, so wild. We don't know who told them. Could have been anybody. But maybe we should like hide our existence from humans going forward.
Who fucking told you?
It could have been anybody. It could have been anybody. Why are you bringing up old stuff? That doesn't matter. But they know now, right? So let's not do that. And that was where the Camarilla kind of already existed, but it was the official recognition of the Anarch movement goes back to the Convention of Thorns, right? So the V5 meta plot starts that I guess now this would have been 2018-ish. The Camarilla again was like, hey, the Sabbat held Atlanta, the Sabbat held London, and a couple of other places. And they were like, cool. Hey, there's like monsters and shit in Atlanta. You guys should look into that. And you know, the military did, you know, and they found out like, oh, there are monsters. And the Sabbat were and shit as well. And the Sabbat were utterly decimated, completely wiped out. And it was like, hey, lol, you know? And the exact same thing happened again, that the intelligence infrastructure of the world was like, wait a second, you know? We use these thermal viewers to like find, they call them blank bodies, like to find out the people that don't have any body heat and you don't either. And it was like, oh no. And so the second Inquisition is like, now the governments of the world know vampires are real. Like the Tremere Chantry in Prague was like destroyed by missiles. Like there's like the Tremere Chantry got blown up. Because I mean, if you're gonna fight vampires, you should probably get rid of like the wizard vampires first, which is fair, really, you know. So the meta plot of V5 is like, how do we deal with the fact that they know? How do we deal with the fact that the hunters are actively looking for us? You know, how do we exist in these nights when we live in a surveillance state, right? The Camarilla's answer to that has been like, go back to 1800. Use no technology, no cell phones, literally like wax cylinders and scrolls, right?
Oh, because can't
hack
everything
a scroll.
Can be.
Yeah.
Your algorithm would give you away so fast.
Correct. Whereas the anarchs are like, cool, but that's stupid. So we're gonna do not that, you know. And what that means and how you deal with it is kind of the backdrop of the story currently. Okay.
Okay.
So now let me tell you a little bit about the dice. So you don't have any official vampire dice, correct?
I bought a set like 5 years ago, and they are mixed in with all my other dice out in the dining room. I can go grab the bin and dig
Nope.
through and try to find them.
Nope. As long as you have a D10 around, that is fine. But I will show you how it works on the normal dice, just for the sake of everybody's edification, if you find it. So if you roll a 1 to a 5, or a I think they meant 1 to 5. If you roll a 1 to a 5, that is a failure, right? Something different
Okay.
happens if you roll a 1 or a 10, by the way. I'll come back to that in a second. But
They're
1
like
to 5,
crits.
yeah, crits or crit
Okay.
fails. Kind of. 1 to 5 is a fail, 6 to 10 is a success. Okay?
Okay.
If you have the actual dice, I'm gonna try and show you here. Like a lot of times you'll hear me say the black dice and the red dice, because when you buy them, that's what they are. They're black dice and red dice. Again, the only thing that really matters is you have at least 5 dice that are a different color that you know are your blood dice. That's the only thing that really matters. But if you notice on here, an Ankh, I'm trying to see, can you see that?
Yeah.
An Ankh is
I
a
can't really
success.
see it, but like I know.
Well, it's like a
symbols.
doohickey thing on here, right? An Ankh is a success. A blank side is a failure. See that? There's nothing, right?
Nada.
Or there's an Ankh that has 2 stars by it. Can you see that it's a little bigger
That would
there?
be the crit one.
Yes. However, it's only a crit if you get 2 of them. And if you get 2 of them, this counts as 4 successes. So if you just get 1, it's 1 success. But if you get 2 of them, it's 4 successes.
Okay. Okay.
And remember, the way the game works is you try things and you need a certain number of successes to do the thing, right? So if you're like, I'm driving my car, I want to throw a brick on the gas and jump out the window and shoot the guy as I'm jumping out the window, right? I might be like, oh, that's a lot. That'll be 8 successes. In the old days, you would say that. Usually in the modern day, we usually don't just say it like that because it still makes the game kind of crunchy. But theoretically, the storyteller has in their mind how many successes you need to do the thing, you know?
Okay.
So when you're rolling, again, if
Your
for every
difficulty class.
more or less, you know, but it's like, I mean, there's kind of there's like a little bit of a standard of like what constitutes something easy, what constitutes something hard, but it's like it's very conceptual and it's up to the storyteller. Like it's in it is intentionally not very crunchy. You follow me?
Yeah.
Now, the only time well, I won't say the only time it gets more complicated is if you're doing something opposed, where you roll to shoot him, but he rolls to dodge. Now it's whoever ends up with the most successes is successful.
Oh, okay.
Right? But the nature of the game, again, technically D&D is all or nothing. If you need a 22 to hit and you roll a 21, you've done absolutely nothing. A competent storyteller wouldn't do that in Vampire. Like if you just miss by 1 success, you might still get like a flesh wound or something. You might graze them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like if your gun is supposed to do 5 ranks of damage, but you fail by 1 success, I might give you like, especially if it's like a shotgun or something, I'd probably still give you like 1, you know, like you pepper him a little bit of buckshot type thing. But again, that's just in how you tell the story. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So, the other thing is the blood dice. And the blood dice are the most ingenious thing about this game. Because in the past, when you use your powers, you had something called blood points, and you spent them like spell slots, right? Now you have blood dice, which shifted the game from a resource management game to a risk management game. Because a lot of times when you use your powers or you do anything supernatural, you have to make what is called a rouse check to see if you get hungrier. And the hungrier, every time your hunger goes up by 1, and your hunger is always at least 1, by the way. The only way to get your hunger to 0 is to drain a human being completely and kill them. You have to take a life to get your hunger down to 0.
Goddamn.
Yeah. Which has some other potential negative consequences of killing people. So vampires are hunger. The definition of your existence now is hunger. That's what it means to be a vampire. Every time you fail a rouse check, your hunger goes up by 1, to a maximum of 5. Because if you get to 6 hunger, you already freak out anyway, and like things have gone off the rails. Remember when I said you only need 5 of these? Because if you get to 6, things have already gone
like
around.
It's
it's
bad.
You already have a different set of problems before you get to a 6th hunger die. It's got the same markings where it's still got the Ankh where it's a success, right? It's still got a blank face where it's a fail, right? But there's 2 different faces on this one. This one has an Ankh with some fangs next to it. I know you can't quite make it out. The black one was stars. The camera loves me. It won't focus on these dice. This one has little stars.
I'll post like a little image on the video.
I sent you a picture. The basic mechanics document I sent has pictures of what this is. But if this one's got little stars, this one's got little fangs, right? This, if you get either 2 of the blood dice with the fangs on it, or 1 of the blood dice with the fangs and 1 of the regular dice with the stars, so 2 crits, right? Or if you roll 2 10s on a normal die, right? This is what is called a messy critical. You still get the 4 successes, but the beast comes out and tries to help you. In many ways, it's going to help you, and it's more harm than good. Like if you're trying to pick a lock and you get a messy critical, the beast comes out and you might just freak out and break it. He's like, just break the doorknob. And you're like, well, I mean, I'm in, sure. But it's
like a little demon in you that helps you or ruins everything around you, but you gotta love it.
That's what the beast is. Inside of you, there is a monster.
I love that.
Yeah, that's what the beast is. And the beast talks to you. Usually the beast talks with the voice of your sire, but not necessarily.
No, are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
Do we get to name it?
Well, I mean, you can. It's the beast is what it's is.
Little buddy.
Know? Yeah. Well, if you're a Malkavian, it's little. But it's funny that you say it's little buddy, because usually the beast torments you. You know what I mean? Like you don't want. Again, you're a monster, and you don't want to be. So the beast
want to be a monster.
Usually saying things you don't like. But here's what's hilarious. Over the 5 seasons of LA by Night, every time Victor's beast spoke to him, I agreed with my beast 100% of the time. Because Jason, obviously he's a master storyteller and he knows what it means to be a venturer, but he also knows me. So my beast would say, like everybody else, Erica's beast is like, just kill him, drain him. And she's like, no, I'm not a murderer. I couldn't do such a thing. And my beast is like, you gonna let him talk to you like that? I'm like, fuck no, I'm not gonna let him talk to me like that. You know what I mean? Like, it always was that. It was like, is that dude looking at you? Is that dude looking at me? Like, what?
Oh, I love that so much.
That was my relationship with my beast.
That would be me. Everything my beast would say, I'd be like, you know what? You got a point. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what the Sabbat were about. They were like, all right, Jiminy Cricket, let's go, buddy.
It's there for a reason.
The other thing to know about the blood dice is they have this place on it that's a skull. That would be a 1. Okay. Right? Mm-hmm, oops. Oh no, dropped my cell phone. Did I break it? Hold on, let's see. You might see me cry, open, weeping bitter tears if I've broken myself.
No, because you put it in a case, right?
I did, but huzzah, it's fine.
Yay! Did you just drop it again?
No, but I did drop one of the dice. Hang on. Got it. We're fine. We're doing our own stunts here. We're doing this live. if the skull, which is a 1 on the blood die, this is only a problem if you have a crit fail on a blood die and no successes, right? That's the only time this is bad. So the more blood dice you're rolling, the more likely that, 1, you're going to get a messy critical, because there's just more likelihood that one of those is going to come up, right? And more likelihood that you're going to get a bestial fail, because there's just more of these in your dice pool. You follow me?
Yeah.
By the way, when your hunger increases, we haven't talked much about the assembling your dice pool, but like, let's say you have to roll 4 dice if you're doing like a driving check, right? I'll explain to you how you know this in a minute, but let's say you have to roll 4, right? And your hunger goes up. You've always got at least one of these that are red, and at least one blood die. If your hunger goes up to 2, you replace one of the black dice with a hunger die, right? So then if your hunger goes up to 3, you're going to be rolling 1 black die and 3 red dice. It's still 4 total dice, though.
Okay.
You follow me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you? I'm not convinced.
Yeah. You always have one red one that you're rolling.
Yep.
So if you've got to roll, if it's like you got to roll 4 dice, you roll the 4 plus the extra one. 4 total.
4 total.
So 4 minus the 1 that you always do.
Yep.
And then if your hunger die goes up, then that one turns red. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
So it's
I do. See, I get
it. Still 4 total dice, but it'd be 2 black, 2 red. Follow me?
Yes.
So again, the more blood dice you're rolling, the more likely you are something's going to go wrong. Because when you
Unless you drain somebody and then they all 4 could be black.
Correct.
At least for like, what is it, like until long rest kind of thing?
Well, until your next rouse check, and if you fail the rouse check and your hunger goes up. So it's never long, and it's definitely until you sleep again. You wake up with 1 hunger every time you sleep, no matter what. So it's never long. Even if you kill somebody, you don't get much peace. You may get seconds of peace or hours of peace, and that's it.
Got it.
When you get the skull, that is a bestial fail, and you have what's called a frenzy. And a frenzy is when the beast takes over completely. And there's some different kinds of frenzies based on what you're with. There is a fear frenzy. There is essentially an anger frenzy, and some other just stuff. But when you get one of those bestial fails, just the beast takes over and does something you don't want it to do. But it does the thing, right?
Okay. So when that happens, does the GM take over as their beast, or does the player embrace their beast and role play that?
A bit of both. It would be something like, if you had a bestial fail, and so firstly, I would sort of be like moving through this. Like, you've got your first rouse check, and you fail. And that would be like, the beast comes up in your ears, echoing. You can feel its claws scraping down the back of your neck. Child, I taught you better than this. You should be more diligent in the future. And then you get to do whatever you're going to do. And then as your hunger continues to increase, it gets louder and more aggressive. And it may or may not yell at you. It depends on what your sire was like, honestly. Like a La Sombra, they're not really a screamy type. But
no, they would be that like.
But if like you frenzy, it'd be like, you are a disappointment to the blood, to the clan. You must show them now the might of the Sombra. Make them kneel, make them repent, and perhaps there will be room for you in the kingdom to come. And then I would tell you that you have entered into a frenzy. And you know what you must do. And then I would let
that sounds like a blast.
Again, you got serious Sabbat vibes, Beth. Serious Sabbat vibes. But yeah, that's because they're like, okay,
Like,
yeah,
let's fucking go.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and then I'd let you tell me what that was. So that's the dice. Any questions about the dice?
No, I actually understood that very well.
Well, the good news about this, again, with the storyteller system, is once you get it and you know how to play, it's like you know how to play vampire, werewolf, mage, wraith, and changeling.
Because it's the same system.
Same thing. The only difference is the powers and how the powers work. That varies. But otherwise, it's the same thing. So when you have a character sheet, this is one of my. This was Zool. I loved him so much. So this was my Malkavian, and he was a police detective. And my character concept was he could see spirits and he could talk to animals. Those were powers he had. So that's how he would solve crimes. He would ask the murder victim who killed him. He would ask the dog what happened, right?
I love that. I love it.
But part of his thing, and it was very difficult for me to play this, was a lot of times he was saying he saw stuff that wasn't there. I knew it wasn't there. You know what I mean? But it's hard to get across if like no one can see the ghost. And if I'm like, well, the ghost just told me this guy shot her and hid the gun right over there, versus I know I'm also completely making up. It's like also her grandmother's here. That's weird. You know what I mean? Like that was difficult to parse. But that was the character concept. So each one, you have your attributes. You have your physical attributes, your social attributes, and your mental attributes, right? One of the things that is on page 132, that thing I showed you, is how to spend these points and what to put them in, right? Here's one of the reasons why I say what it actually has there in the book is wrong. Because the book, page 136, yeah. The 136, book says pick your attributes first and you pick your powers later. You should pick your powers first, because when you go and get the powers, it'll say things like roll strength plus brawl or roll charisma plus intimidation, right? And if you've already made your character where maybe you didn't give yourself a lot of charisma or you didn't give yourself a lot of strength, then your character's broken from the beginning, right?
So you want to know what you're going to need to be using more often anyway.
Correct. The La Sombra powers are potence. They have super strength. They have dominate, which is mind control, which I used to great effect. I think it's a tenebration. What the heck is the name of the? I know, chat. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of a lot of things right here. The La Sombra disciplines are, yeah, it is obtenebration. Although, let me see if they renamed it. I think it's still obtenebration. Some of them did get renamed. Oblivion. Yeah, they changed it to Oblivion. I was thinking of an old edition. So Oblivion is their shadow powers. They can do things like teleport through shadows, listen through shadows, literally like have like shadowy tentacles that come out and hurt people. So Oblivion's pretty dope. I'll send you a link to the La Sombra stuff because they're not in that book.
It's very Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula.
Yeah.
Yeah. The shadow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very Lovecraftian too. But yes, you want to pick your disciplines first and then pick your attributes, because that way you can make sure that you've got the things you need essentially for your powers to function, right? But there's just a set number of points. It's similar to a point buy. And you arrange it. And this is that checklist that's on page 136. I'm not going to explain too much. And then you have a certain number of points that you spend on your skills. So the way you assemble your dice pool is everything you do is either going to be an attribute plus a skill or an attribute plus a discipline. And that is the way every single roll is going to work. Okay.
Okay.
So it might be, if you were like, I want to hit that guy in the mouth, it would be strength. I got 2 strength. Plus brawl. I got 3 brawl. So I'd roll 5 dice. Right?
One of them being your hunger die.
Correct. Or maybe more, depending where my hunger is. But yes, correct. So when I say assemble the dice pool, that's what I mean. So anytime you're like, I want to do a thing. Now, one of the good things about the storyteller system, and there's many good things, is you can always try. Because if you're like, I want to hack that computer. Do you have any computers? No. Well, just roll your intelligence. You know, the odds are low, but not zero. You know?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so you can give it a shot. You're just more likely to be better at stuff.
You just happen to tap into a spirit nearby that can like tell you what to do. Freak
Correct.
incident.
Correct. For the most part, the maximum dice pool is 10 dice. There are some circumstances where it can get a little higher. It could get to 15. It could get higher than that even. But for beginning characters, 10's probably going to be the limit. I don't even know. I mean, I was about to say I don't even know how you'd get to 10, but I'm a min-maxer. I'm sure I could get to 10 dice off of the character that was like brand new. But the dice pools are never very big, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and that's it. It is always, again, attribute plus skill or attribute plus discipline. You roll it, you either get a success, you get a crit, but again, a crit's only a crit if you get 2, right? So remember, you have to roll 2 of the crit dice, and that is 4 successes.
Okay.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Or you get a messy critical, which is still 4 successes, but the beast does something. Like there's an unintended consequence of the thing you do. Like if you're interrogating someone and you're like, I want to beat the answer out of them, and you get a messy crit, they'll tell you, but maybe you break their jaw in the process, and now they can't talk anymore. You know, or like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, you did the thing, but at a cost. You know.
Okay.
And then there's failure, and failure is just failure. Again, this is a very narrative-driven game, so that can look a lot of ways.
Failure is really up to the GM and how they want to run the moment.
Right. But again, for the most part, old versions of the game had botches where if you just got a 1, it was bad. It also used to be successes could explode and successes and failures canceled each other out. V5's not like that. So you might hear people talking about Vampire and they mention things like botches and stuff like that because those are just kind of mechanics.
Just old lingo that still.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't have anymore. The only thing that goes really bad, again, is when you get a 1 on the blood die and no other successes, then that's when something really bad happens. That's the best you'll fail.
Okay. That's when the cool stuff happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're like, come on, let it out. There is a mechanic for letting the beast out on purpose, by the way. So, I mean, maybe you're... you're like, Jesus, take the wheel. And by Jesus, I mean Satan, take the wheel. You know what I mean?
I'm already seeing what kind of character I'd lean into more.
Yeah. There's just a couple of other things that I want to point out because it's actually not too terribly complicated. I mean, I know I just talked for all this time, but it's actually not that hard. You will have, when you're making your character, something that is called touchstones. And you're going to have 2 to 3 of them. And a touchstone is a living human being that represents something from your previous life. They may be a relative. They don't have to be. Your touchstone could be your child who thinks you're dead, your child who knows you're still alive. It could be your mom. It could be a friend. Your touchstone could be the barista.
Keeps you in touch with humanity.
Correct. The touchstone could be the barista at the coffee shop that you used to love. Because part of your ritual was going at sunrise to go get a cup of coffee, and now you never can again. You know, your touchstone is a vulnerability. It is something that you generally attempt to hide or not have people know about because it is an easy way to hurt you because it's something you care about.
Okay.
Convictions are, and these are things that you make out. I mean, there are some guidelines, but it's just what's important to you. And again, it's going to be 2 or 3 things that really matter. Like for me, mine was uh, for Zool here. Victors were different. Zools were protect the innocent, and ideally, one of the touchstone is somehow related to the conviction. It doesn't have to be, but it's related. Like for me, it was like my conviction was protect the innocent. My touchstone was the head of the local YMCA, you know, guy who was just trying to keep kids off the street because I was a cop, right? So I was like, he's doing a good thing. One of them was no one is above the law, and my touchstone was my old partner, who was actually a good cop. You know, that it like I knew firsthand how dirty the world, but he was a solid guy. So that belief of mine is represented by that person, right? And then the third one was the dead deserve respect. And my touchstone is the groundskeeper at the cemetery. Because remember, this character can see spirits and talk to ghosts, so he knows what happens when a ghost is restless. You know, so it's like that. You know, in that stuff, there's no wrong way to do it. Okay, so let me just explain real quick like what these categories are, so it'll kind of make sense in the character creation.
Categories. Oh, I need a new page. Here we go.
Especially if you just look at page 136.
136.
That's I mean, you'll keep coming back to it. So again, core concept is again, who are you in life? You know, like who even is this character, right? Clan and sire is just that. You can be La Sombra. You can make up your sire, or I can. That is either's fine with me. Attributes, again, it's just telling you how to assign those points. Again, I highly recommend you pick your disciplines first for all the reasons I said before.
Okay.
Skills, same thing. It's just going to tell you how to spend those dots and what you think is important. Again, your disciplines will help inform that of what skills are useful. Otherwise, it's just what you think is neat. You know, who you think this person is and what you think they're good at. Now, it does say add free specialties to some skills. What a specialty is you might have, let's say, you've got 3 dots in firearms. I keep using all the combat examples, even though I said it's not a very combat-y thing. Let's say you've got 3 dots in persuasion, right? But your specialty is flirting. So when you're flirting in particular, you get to roll an extra die. You get to roll 4. It's like a specific set of circumstances under the skill, like a subset. You know, like you might have 2 dots in firearms, but if you have a specialty in sniper rifles, you roll 3 dice when you use a sniper rifle. That's what a specialty is.
Got it. Okay.
Then the disciplines, I explained that. Now you need to pick your predator type. Predator type is super fun.
That sounds fun. Without even knowing anything, I'm like, oh, what is that?
I'm not going to explain what they all are, but the predator type is how you get your blood. And there's a bunch of them. And they range from being pretty reasonable to pretty fucked up. Each predator type has certain advantages and disadvantages. You get literal mechanical differences. For most of them, you get an extra discipline of some sort. So that's a way that you can gain access to disciplines that La Sombra don't normally have. And just other things, different, pending the predator type, you get all sorts of different advantages or disadvantages. But it all comes down to how you get your blood. That's what the predator type is. And it can range
these
from...
are fun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It can range from you only drink bagged blood, you only drink from animals, the person must consent. One that's like a little messed up is like they don't consent, like you have to fight them and take it from them. There's some where you have to sleep with the person, although they kind of carefully admit, they're like, well, you don't have to have sex, they just have to want to have sex. And I'm like, that's not what that is. That's not what that is. You have one where you have to be famous. That was Victor's. It's called a scene queen. Like I couldn't feed if they didn't know who I was. Yeah. There's one where you have an entire fake family that exists only for you to feed on them, but you maintain the front of this is your family when they're just your herd. Like,
that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, there's some wild ones, but that's what the predator type is. Advantages, again, you've got advantages and flaws. The system is really weird and the book is really poorly laid out. Let me just tell you that in advance. As you're like flipping through the advantages and flaws, if you're like, why is this, yeah, it's not you. It's not you. It's the book. That's just, again, it's advantages and flaws. The things that are good about you, things that are bad about you. When you take flaws, they give you a mechanical benefit though. So there's a rationale for
I
having
love that shit.
drawbacks.
I love games that do that.
Yep.
It's like, this is something annoying for you, but you get bonuses for it.
Yep. Convictions and touchstones, I already told you. Sea of Time is just how old you are. Again, for this game in the modern era, you can't really be any older than about 1780. All the elders are out of commission for a reason I don't need to explain right now, but they really wanted to force you to play a street level game. But I still give everybody the 35 XP that the older vampires get because I feel like it's wrong to reward someone mechanically for a character concept.
This reduces min-maxers.
Correct.
Takes a min-maxer to know how to get rid of min-maxers.
Correct. To restrain. Dude, I'm like, do your worst. I guarantee you I'll do worse than you. Because even if you come up with something I didn't account for, I'll attack you with 5 of you. Like, I'm like, here's shadow duplicates of your party. Roll initiative. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. Also, just for the record, there is no initiative system.
I was about to ask. I was like, so there's initiative in this.
Arguably, the person with the highest attribute goes first, but not necessarily. You know, again, in their attempt to not be crunchy, that is part of why some things kind of start to fall apart because there's some questions that need answering and then they just kind of don't get answered, you know? Mm-hmm. And then there's the cost of how you can spend your experience points to raise things. And I will say the cost becomes exponential. So it becomes like harder and harder and harder to get better and better at things. And that's basically it. I know that was a lightning overview.
It's enough for me to get started. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna like print out a character sheet thing and stuff. Because there's not like a D&D Beyond version for a vampire, right? Where you can do digital character sheets.
Well, 2 things to which I say kinda. Since Roll20 purchased Demiplane, they do have a digital character sheet, but I'm about to send you a fillable PDF here for Clan La Sombra. Here.
Oh, which isn't, I don't think La Sombra stuff is in here, right? But, or is it, there's not specific.
It isn't, but I'm about to send you where you can find everything you need to know. Just for the record, if you're listening to this or watching this, it is Mr. Gone's character sheets. If you enter into Google fillable VTM character sheets, Mr. Gone is one of the top results. Mr. Gone's sheets are great. He has fillable ones. He has them by clan. Hang on, I'm gonna send you specifically the right one here because you want 5th edition. La Sombra. Hang on, I sent you the link to all the sheets, and then I'm gonna send you the link to specifically Clan La Sombra. What the? I say that, and then nothing's happening on Chrome.
Oh, Chrome. Fancy.
Chrome, you're embarrassing me. We're on the phone. I'm trying to look cool right now.
Oh, they have so many things to print.
Well, yeah, but it's you want 5th edition specifically. And the 2-page interactive is what you want. It's whichever one
like the very first link.
Yeah. Well, but even when you click that, you're gonna see a whole bunch of them. But I'm gonna send you specifically La Sombra sheet. Oh. Yeah. All right.
I'm gonna drop this in the Discord chats.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to send you the one that actually here. Drop this one. Don't drop that. Drop this, so people are less likely to get lost.
Okay.
You may have to copy that whole thing because I find the link broke with the hashtag there.
Got
La
it.
Sombra. And here's a La Sombra fillable sheet for you there. Beautiful.
Post and post. Thank you.
There was something else that I was like, yeah, I'll send you the character sheet and one other thing. Oh, I need to send you where you actually can look up Clan La Sombra. What they can do and everything. I mean, I have the PDF, but this is
Pull this up on my computer.
trying to send you a simpler way of doing this.
No. There we go. Ooh, I like that typeface they use for La Sombra.
Let me do it. Let me just send you the dang PDF. Okay. I think to avoid getting like copyright struck. Oh wait, did I find it here? Oh yeah, they are in Chicago. Chicago by night. All right, hold on. Which again, I am simultaneously the Baron of L.A. and Prince of Chicago.
Hell yeah.
You know, get you a boy who can do both. I have it. I just have to find where it is. Yep. All right. Hold on. Actually, I'm going to send you. I'm going to send you a bunch of stuff. I mean, I have these in a lot of places, but. Oop. Oop. Let me make sure this link will work for you. Should. Okay. La Sombra are in Chicago by night. Boop. All right, there you go. I just sent you like mad PDFs, but one of those PDFs is Chicago by Night, which is where Clan La Sombra is.
Oh, hell yeah. Yay, thank you.
Any questions?
I don't think so. It seems pretty. I definitely learned a lot more from you telling me than I would have from reading because my brain cannot process from reading. I feel like I definitely have enough now to be like, okay, print my character sheet, go through and start like filling things in and vibing. I'll
What
probably record that whole process too.
what I would say, well, that what I sent you is digitally fillable, so you don't even have to print it if you don't want to, but you can.
Oh yeah.
What I suggest, pull up that La Sombra character sheet. Pull up Chicago by Night and read the section on Clan La Sombra. It's not very long.
Okay.
Then read the disciplines because Oblivion is in Chicago by Night because it was new. Dominate and Potence are in here.
Okay.
Remember, you go to the red splotchy bit. There it is. Dominate
Red
is mind
splotchy bit.
control. Potence is super strength.
Okay.
Read just like the first 2 or 3 dots of both because I don't think you'll have the resources to get any higher during these games. So you don't have to like read the whole thing. It's just what seems interesting. There is another thing that I need to explain. So here, let's actually do it with Dominate. So go to the splotchy bit on the side of this book.
Off to the splotchy bit we go.
And find Dominate because it is alphabetical.
I know my alphabet. Found it.
I read good. Okay.
I read real good.
So, each ability goes up from rank 1 to rank 5. Again, as you see on that character sheet, there's not room for more than 5 dots for anything, right?
Okay.
For each dot, you get 1 power, okay? So as you look at Dominate, for level 1, there is a power called Cloud Memory, which makes people forget things, and there's a power called Compel, that makes them do a short thing that you tell them to do, right? A simple command, right? But at level 1, there's 2 powers, but you only get 1 of them. So you have to decide: do you want Cloud Memory or do you want Compel? Okay.
Okay.
But here's where it gets a little tricky. Level 2 has Mesmerize, right? But if you get 2 ranks in Dominate, you either can take Mesmerize because you have level 2, or you could go back and pick the lower level power you didn't choose before. Because maybe you want Cloud
It's like
Memory
spell
and Compel.
slots.
Kinda, but again, it's 5 and it's fixed forever, right? So it's closer to like Warlock. Well, it's not even that, but it's the powers you've got forever, and the most you will ever have is 5.
Even like mesmerize and dementation, those count as 2 if you pick one.
For level 2, you could only have either one of those, and I have to explain something with dementation that is important. But you could have one or the other if you go to level 2. But if you got level 3 of Dominate, and you were like, I did want Mesmerize and Dementation, for level 3, you could choose another level 2 power. You could even choose another level 1 power. That'd be kind of a waste of a higher level ability, but you could. But it's still 3 total powers.
Got it. So
That makes
it's
sense?
3. Yeah. So level 3 is 3 total, and you can choose
From level
from
1, 2,
level
or 3.
3
Yeah.
to. Got it. Okay. I
Yeah.
totally get it.
Yeah. Which for the most part, you probably should. I mean, there's a few of the disciplines where I find a lot of the level 1 powers are great and a lot of the level 2 powers are kind of weak. So it kind of makes sense for ranks 1 and 2, you take the 2 level 1 powers because they might be pretty good. But
Okay.
by the time you get to 3, 4, 5, it's not really worth like going backwards because the power scaling's kind of exponential, right? Now,
Yeah.
let me show you something with dementation though. If you see that there, do you see where under dementation it says amalgam bit my lip, is obfuscate 2? What an amalgam power is you have to have both dominate level 2 and obfuscate level 2 in order to be able to do this thing in particular. It so happens dementation is a Malkavian power where you mess with people's minds. Malkavians used to have their whole own power set called dementation, but they don't have it anymore because again, dementation was all about driving people crazy. So they sort of did away with that. But anytime you see amalgam, that's what that means. And I'm pretty sure Oblivion, I'm pretty sure the Shadow Tentacles is an amalgam power with Potence. So you have to have Potence and Oblivion to be able to do it. Pretty sure. But
Okay.
you understand? Just specifically if it says
Kind
that
of.
word.
It's a prerequisite, essentially.
Basically. But
Okay.
only if it says amalgam. What that is supposed to represent is certain clans can do certain things. Anytime there's an amalgam power, there's some clan that has both. Always. And it's just like Malkavians specifically have access to this thing, right? La Sombra are more likely to be able to do this thing, even though other people may have potence and other people may have, or specifically for Malkavians, other people may have dominate, other people may have obfuscate, but Malkavians are particularly good at doing like this thing.
Okay.
You follow me?
Yes.
That's what an amalgam power is.
Okay.
So, what I suggest is, like I said, pull up your character sheet. You can print it or you can pull up the fillable. Read the La Sombra entry in Chicago by Night, because again, it's only a few pages. Read obfuscate, dominate, and potence, and just see what seems cool. You know what I mean? It's like reading. Now that is like reading spells in D&D. The only difference
Right?
is these are the only ones you're gonna have ever, though. You know, so it's worth like taking the time to think about it. And just what kind of
Yeah.
character is this? You know, is this a character that is more likely to try and mess with your mind, or more likely to break your arm, or both? You know, um, and then make your character. You pick your dots and your abilities, then you pick your attributes, then you pick your skills, blah 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 blah, and it should be pretty paint by numbers.
Hell yeah.
And if,
Okay.
and if you have any questions, I'm at your disposal.
Yay. Okay, cool. That is yeah, that's way more than I was gonna get out of trying to read or watch YouTube videos. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, I've taught a lot of people in person. I've made a lot of tutorial content.
you're like
I
one of us. One of us.
I've explained this game once
It's
or
a
twice.
cult.
It's just it's not a cult. Not a cult. Not a cult.
It is a cult. They're all cults. Oh.
Not a cult. But anyway,
I see.
yeah, it's we don't use the C word. Um, yeah, it is, even though it was just a lot of words because it's something new, it is a much simpler game than Dungeons and Dragons. Much.
It sounds a lot simpler. The fact that it takes me like 4 weeks to teach total newbies how to play D&D.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you just try stuff. And you know, when we're actually playing, you'll have some questions. How do I do this? How do I do that? I'll tell you. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
you know, and then you just sort of muddle through it. But again, just the fact that it's like literally this world, that it's like, oh, you need to find somebody, and it's like, do they have an Instagram? You know what I mean? You're like, check. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like, it's but the way this works though is you're like, do they have an Instagram? It's like, yeah, they're live at the club right now. And you're like, cool, I'm gonna go to the club. Well, guess who else knows that? The hunters. They're also on the way to the club. They're also checking their Instagram. You know, like
Oh, yeah.
stuff like
Uh-huh.
that is what you're dealing with.
Oh, I'm so excited.
All right.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Anything else?
No, I think next step is just build a character and then see where I get stuck and
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Build your character. Let me know.
Awesome.